Hello, this is Justin Lopez for Intro to Software Engineering, and this is the open source contribution project. Here's the project that I decided to work on. It's called Faker CXX, and this project is a C++ library that's used to generate fake but realistic data. It can generate data about all kinds of modules, all these modules you see here. It's really cool. But yeah, and here's the issue that I worked on. So this project was going through a mass refactoring, and as you can see here, it was changing, I guess, the file structure sort of for the modules, and then changing vector to array and changing string to string view. And there was no maps in the science module, so I didn't have to do anything here. So yeah, here's where I asked if I could work on it. He said yes and assigned me to it, and yeah, I started working on it. This is the fork I made to develop the code for the issue. Um, so yeah, and here we can see the commit I made. So here shows everything I made when completing this issue, all the changes I made. So to start, you can see these things in red got deleted. So this extraneous, I guess this extra directory data got removed, and both of these files sort of got compressed into one science data file and a science data header file and a science data CVP file here like this. And those other things like changing vector to array and string to string view and whatnot are mostly what the orange is. So we can go through the changes here that I made. So the CMake list file, I just had to add the new file here to compile with CMake and the new CVP file. And here I just changed string to string view. And here, so a lot of these include lines I had to change because the file structure is just different now. Vector, I changed to array and whatnot here. So I guess one thing to note here is this is like the main roadblock I hit. It was this section here because the vector to array that they were changing was they used to be storing all their like data for all like the science data in vectors. That was changing to be to array, but this function like made its own vector and did some like adding together of the other vectors. So I had asked about it because let's see, science. So here's where I ask about it, and I suggest a couple solutions here, and then I mention that this is probably the best solution, and it's sort of to mostly, I just kind of had to change the syntax a little bit because we went from vectors to arrays, but I still use a vector in this function. And it makes sense to use a vector in here. It's totally fine because this function is, you know, it's a function. You can make a vector in a function. Like vectors are for allocating memory, like on the fly like that. So that's why the solution makes sense. I ask about it. He says that that solution is fine, so I go with it. And yeah, that was really the only roadblock I hit. And the rest here is just some refactoring, and these files were deleted. These files contained all of this data that you can see here on the right. And here's the test case file. I just had to change a little bit of like syntax there. Yeah, that was really what I did. And then here I ask about, I couldn't get the test cases to run locally. I just ran the workflow when I pushed to the repository. But obviously they tell you that obviously you can run them locally, and this guy tells me, and he gives me a little advice. So, and then they update the contributing guide for contributors so that contributors can get a little more help with running the test cases. And then I work on trying to get it on my own, and here I did. I was able to run the test cases on my end locally. And they asked me here to send what I did to this issue that they made for it, and I did here. And they incorporated a little bit of this into the contributing guide. So yeah, that was everything I did for this project. Um, yeah, thank you.